Well, hello there. Thank you. Ah, where'd you go? All of a sudden it disappeared. I don't know what happened. Thanks for tuning in on this Friday afternoon or Tuesday or next month when you happen to run across this in your Facebook feed. Today, I want to talk about a couple things that they kind of merged for me actually, in that um, I was thinking about how we tend to get tough on ourselves or be tough on ourselves and around what subjects that happens. And one of the things that came up for me was where people are incredibly judgy towards themselves about having not achieved something yet or figured something out or learned it or I don't know, arrived at a certain point. And I started to write a blog about this and then decided I was going to talk about it instead. And I'll follow up with a blog for those who aren't watching the Facebook um, or the other videos. So I wondered, like, why we need to be so hard on ourselves, and at what race are you running that you needed to be at a certain mile marker by now, wherever now is in your life, whether that's your 25, 30, 50, 80, 102. Like, what is in there that has you believing that, one, you've missed the mark, you haven't done something in a certain amount of time, or two, that you don't have the time to do it? You have eternity. All of us have had and will have so many more lives that to be pressurizing this one just seems not the greatest gift to give yourself. So, one of the things that was coming up was this message of, I should have learned that by now. And yes, it was, I'm sorry, the pollen in here today is ridiculous. My nose is so itchy. Um, that they should have learned a certain thing in relationship by their, I don't even know how old she is, but by that point. And what I had reminded her was that she probably really didn't start learning about relationships and the true aspects of relationship until she became more knowledgeable about herself. So, whenever that comes in for anybody, but typically I see that mid 30s, early 40s. And that, so therefore, because she wasn't much older than that, therefore, what had she missed? She was right on course. And yes, we can learn in a more concise way by being willing to ask, am I listening? Am I paying attention to the signs? Am I being clueless to another person's actions? Is this the best relationship for me? Job, place to live, etc., etc. Am I honoring myself? Is there something out of whack? Am I listening to my heart of hearts? And something feels off, but I just don't want to address it. Now, in the coaching that I do, if your answer is, yes, I can feel it off, but I don't want to address it, I actually don't push that. We look at, well, then why don't you want to address it? Because that's the real issue. It's not about what's actually going on in your life or the fact that you haven't looked at it yet. It's the fact that you don't want to look at it. And then I get excited because if somebody is bringing me a subject or an area of their life that they readily admit they don't want to look at it, or they don't know what's going on, or they feel like they should be somewhere by now, I know that their soul and that their intuitive self is pushing them to look at it, to start to question, what isn't lining up for me here, what could be more enjoyable, what could be another way that I want to make some money. So this this aspect of I haven't arrived there yet. I want you to, if you have that within you, to ask yourself, where the heck is there? Like, where do you feel like you should have been by now? If you can identify it, there is something within you that can carry you there too. And then you need to stop talking about it and stop lamenting about it, and then put into action some kind of step to move you one iota closer. So, to be clear, looking at why you don't want to do something is moving that bar. It is moving you forward. So the question that often comes, the people who often ask, are we there yet, the most tend to be children, right? In the back seat of the car, because their understanding of time is, you said we were going somewhere, let's just get there now. And unless you've learned to astral project, it's going to take some time to get there. So when I was thinking about talking about all the pressure we put on ourselves to be somewhere in life, in knowing, in expansion, financially, whatever the parameter you got set there, I feel like some of that comes from the child space that we all have within us. And I can't think of the word. This is how you know they're not scripted, because I blank out in the middle. The possibility that I wasn't listened to as a child, I wasn't heard or seen, or maybe just taken seriously. Maybe you were heard, but those around you didn't really comprehend that your words had value or the knowledge in there. So there's some messages that got entered into your brain, into your heart, into your cellular memory that I don't really know things. And to me, for something clicked in my head today when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. I think they're connected. Like, in feeling like we should always be over there, or I should have accomplished that by now, can very much come from the external sources, not source, but the external sources in your life sharing their opinion of where you should be by now. And I'm going to suggest that we help out your head, your heart, your cellular memory in when you feel and you bump into a space of wanting to expand, and asking yourself, have I accomplished? What more do I want to do? Where am I going? How am I getting there? Who am I? All those fantastic, so fantastic questions. How about you take a moment and you consider that being that is still within us, that child self that's in there, and why don't you ask him or her what they think? Because there's an intelligence there, there's a knowing there that I feel like in most of us got pushed aside and not acknowledged. So imagine if you acknowledge that intelligence of your soul, of your human self, and get the brain involved to say, well, where is my there? What am I talking about? Is it another level of education? Do I want to travel? Is it a product I want to create? Is it a way that I want to be with the other people in my life? Do I want to feel more available? Do I want to work on my focus? It's not really going to matter what the subject is. It's going to matter that you're listening to yourself. And in doing that, I feel like it takes the pressure off of wondering, am I there yet? Or the judgment of I should be there. Because should is a guilt word. Guilt is one of the emotions that we were not meant as souls to come in and learn. It's taught, it's a human condition, and I don't feel like it has a vibration of supportiveness. So if you can look at that and you can say, where could I be now? What could I put my attention to? Maybe you want to have the best vegetable garden that you've grown. Maybe you've never planted one before and you want to give it a shot. Well, I think there is here. So if we stop putting the attention on where are we going and how are we getting there, you'll be present and able to make those steps and to take those steps. And then whatever you've been wanting to create will manifest right smack in front of you. So the idea that we're always looking to our future and forward often locks people up and gets them so sedentary in their energy that they don't move anything. So this week, if you would be present enough, be here in yourself to when the question comes up, or sometimes it sounds a bit matriarchal or patriarchal in your head of, you should have done that by now. Catch that moment and say, yep, I could have. Now I'm going to come here where I am and ask my inner self, my child self, what would you like to feel? What would you have liked to hear when you had an idea? How would you have liked to be talked to when something brilliant happened? At least brilliant in your child self way. By doing that exercise, I really feel like we're going to close the gap between living in our past and, being in that old story of, well, this is what my parents said. This is what my teacher said. Oh, I blew out my knee in high school. I had that one job that started off crappy and that started my trail. Or I, lived in a household where, there were addictive behaviors, or any of those kind of scenarios that you're still bringing into today. You're bringing them into the now. So if you're wondering, how are we going to get there, or are we there yet, or am I there, who am I, or any of those questions, and you're still playing the tape of where you've come from, there's no flipping way that you can be present in what needs to be addressed today. And how could you answer the question that, well, you're a smart, giving, intuitive, focused, friend generating, amazing being? You're not going to be able to see yourself there. So it can be a little trippy for the head to catch yourself in the moment, to redirect, to bring yourself here, but it will pay off, because that, when you think about it, if you're always wondering about where you're going to be, and then you're lamenting about where you've been, or even just playing the tape, it doesn't have to be in a lamenting sense, even just playing that tape inside your head, there can't be any energy front and center for you to then take whatever step you want to take and help yourself be in the process. And I think by doing this, I see it in people's energy a lot. I see it in my own when I get scattered and too far out, or heading back, because that's the story I know. When you create a focal point of right now, their energy field just moves right in. Their skin glows. There's energy there. There's humor. They actually, I find, will connect with, well, nature, kids, animals a bit more, those that do tend to be in the moment. And then amazing ideas happen and clarity around, oh, that's why I do that thing I do. So for this week, let's all give ourselves permission to neither be in the future or in the past. Let's be wherever we are in that moment. Don't forget to buy toilet paper, because that is a future thing that is really important. But as far as the thinking or the judging or the wondering or all of that kind of stuff, let's bring it back to where you are in that moment, connecting with whomever you are. Eat mindfully, breathe into the experience. And if the experience is tough, give yourself permission to admit that this is tough. So the practice is not easy. It's not, but I don't know if any of you have caught on that the more we challenge ourselves, the more we change. And I believe that when we're bringing the challenges, there's less that has to be brought to us in the form of the cosmic 2x4s. So give yourself that gift this week of listening to that child self that lives within, and how would she or he like to be spoken to? What kind of language would light them up? And start speaking to yourself that way while reminding yourself to be present. Okay? So I feel like it takes the anxiety of being human down a notch. And there's also the very real component here that we are eternal and we're never going to get it all done. And I know for some people that's like, holy crap, that's a lot to do. But flip it to the other side. If you're eternal and you have the space in which to expand and to learn, and then just take the pressure off your shoulders, and then you won't wonder, are we there yet? Because there is no there to get to. It's about being, I guess, the best you can be in the moment that you're in. So thank you so much, everybody, for showing up, and for waving. And Maggie, thank you for liking my toilet paper joke. It's important, man. It's really important. And I hope that you all take some time this weekend to be childlike, to be playful. Find a kid, find a puppy, find a crazy rabbit. He's at my house if you'd like to visit. And watch yourself in this process. Like, really watch yourself. I mean, joyfully watch yourself, not watch yourself. So thank you so much. I must go to my next session. And send in some ideas, questions, anything you'd like to talk about. Sometimes I feel like I get redundant, so some ideas would be fantastic. And who keeps doing the angry faces? That's just because you're hitting the wrong button. If you're truly angry, speak up. Let me know. I'll address it. I may not agree with you, but I'll address it. I hope it's just a button. So take care. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.